Hey everyone, and welcome back to another explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're going to peel back the carpet, literally and figuratively, on a topic that touches almost every single household. We all share that totally relatable, everyday desire for spotless carpets, pristine couches, and unstained fabrics. It's just human nature to want a clean house. But we really have to ask ourselves, what is that pursuit of perfection actually costing us? Today, we are taking a deep dive into the real truth about those popular stain protectors and household cleaners.
Listen to this. Unless you want to turn your house or fabric items into a Superfund site, wow, that is a completely real, completely terrifying warning from an environmental chemist on a popular chemistry forum. And they were talking specifically about everyday household fabric protectors. It really makes you stop in your tracks, doesn't it? Are we unwittingly trading our family's health and our indoor air quality just to keep our furniture looking clean?
Section 1. The Promise of Protection.
Okay, let's dive right into this. For decades, we have been completely sold on these seemingly magical household miracles. You know the brands, Scotchgard, Teflon. They basically promise to armor our homes against everyday life. And let's be honest, the marketing has been incredibly compelling. We've been sold this dream that just by casually spraying an aerosol can over our upholstery, we're creating this invisible, impenetrable shield. It's pitched as a miracle barrier that repels stains, blocks dirt, and keeps everything looking showroom new forever. It sounds absolutely perfect, right? Well, the reality behind that marketing might actually shock you.
Section 2. Do they actually work?
93%. Yeah, you heard that right. That is the massive amount of pure water found in some major commercial protector concentrates before they are even diluted for use. To figure out if these products actually live up to the hype, we didn't just read marketing brochures. We went straight to the people who deal with this stuff every single day, professional carpet cleaners. And what they revealed is kind of wild. Once you mix this stuff according to the instructions to cover a standard room, you are leaving less than 2 ounces of active chemical per gallon on your carpet. It's a total Trojan horse situation. It really makes you wonder what you're actually paying for.
And when you compare the two industry giants, the real-world performance feedback tells quite a story. On one hand, you've got Scotchgard, which gets heavily criticized by the pros for leaving this sticky, tacky residue as it dries. And to make matters worse, it provides virtually zero soil resistance between cleanings. Then on the other hand, there's Teflon. Now this one is a denser concentrate and definitely has better oil resistance, but even then, professionals admit it still leaves a noticeable, uncomfortable residue on the fibers.
In fact, one veteran professional carpet cleaner put it pretty bluntly. They said they've had a ton of customer complaints about that tacky feeling, adding, "No wonder it wears off faster than you can say scat." The general consensus in the professional community is pretty cynical, to be honest. They feel like customers are frequently getting ripped off by these heavily diluted, ineffective treatments that honestly leave carpets feeling worse than they did before.
So that naturally leads us to a really pressing question, right? If these protectors are basically mostly water, and the tiny bit of active ingredient just leaves a sticky, ineffective residue anyway, what exactly is that active chemical we're so casually spraying all over our living rooms?
Section 3. The Forever Chemical Problem.
All right, we're moving from how practically useless these products can be straight into the serious scientific reality of what's inside them. If you check out the back of an older can of fabric protector, you'll probably spot an ingredient called fluoroaliphatic resin. Now, let me be your translator for a second. While that sounds like harmless, complex scientific jargon, environmental chemists are quick to point out that it's actually just a fancy, proprietary term for a mixture of highly concerning fluorinated polymers.
And here is the kicker. Those fluorinated polymers belong to a family you have almost certainly heard about in the news recently, PFAS, per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances. These are notoriously known as forever chemicals. Why? Because the chemical bonds holding them together are incredibly strong, like so strong that they simply do not break down in the environment. And even worse, they don't break down in the human body. This is exactly why environmental scientists are ringing massive alarm bells about them being in our everyday consumer goods.
It honestly looks like a continuous game of whack-a-mole between government regulators and the chemical industry. Check this out. Way back in 2000, 3M actually started a voluntary phase-out of PFOS and Scotchgard. By 2002, they transitioned to totally new formulas. Then, jump ahead to 2015, the EPA steps in and mandates a transition away from the older C8 carbon chains to what were supposedly safer C6 carbon chains. And now, there's a proposed complete phase-out of all PFAS by major manufacturers targeted for 2025. It's wild. The industry is constantly tweaking and shifting its formulas just to stay one single step ahead of the newest safety regulations.
But here is the absolute crucial issue. It's called the precursor problem. Even though these companies swapped out the old chemicals for the newer, shorter-chain C6 formulas to comply with the rules, chemists are warning us that these replacements are just precursors. What that means is, over time, they degrade and break down into the exact same harmful, toxic forever chemicals anyway. So sure, the label might have changed, but the persistent danger to our environment and our health, it's still very, very real.
Section 4. Hidden toxins in cleaners.
Unfortunately, though, this problem doesn't just stop at stain protectors. Broadening the scope of our explainer a bit using some eye-opening data from Momovation, we see that the standard products we use to actually clean those stains are also severely compromising our homes. When you spray a conventional carpet or upholstery cleaner, you are potentially launching an entire cocktail of toxins right into the air you breathe. We're talking about quats, which are known to trigger asthma and allergies, parabens, which are literal endocrine disruptors that mimic estrogen in the body. Then you've got undisclosed fragrances, a total loophole that legally hides hundreds of phthalates. There's methylisothiazonolin, a preservative linked to neurotoxicity, surfactants like SLS and SLES that absolutely devastate aquatic life once they wash down your drain, and even artificial dyes that have been linked to childhood ADHD. Seriously, every single spray is an impact on your respiratory health.
So, what are we supposed to do? This brings us to a massive household dilemma. With forever chemicals hiding out in our fabric protectors and these highly toxic surfactants lurking in our everyday cleaning bottles, how can we actually safely maintain a clean home without turning our living spaces into a literal chemical hazard zone?
Section 5. Safe and effective alternatives.
Okay, I promise you it is not all doom and gloom here. There are highly actionable, zero-chemical, non-toxic solutions out there that actually get the job done beautifully. For a deep clean, the ultimate non-toxic alternative is the power of steam cleaning. Whether you decide to rent a professional-grade machine or just buy a smaller unit for your home, these things are amazing. They utilize nothing but pure, high heat and water. That's it. No proprietary chemical blends, no shady hidden fragrances. Just pure steam that is fully capable of killing 99.9% of bacteria and viruses, blasting away dirt, and most importantly, leaving absolutely zero sticky chemical residue behind on your fabrics.
And what about those quick, everyday spills? Well, you definitely don't need to run to the store for a toxic bottle of cleaner. Here are some highly effective DIY pantry solutions you can whip up in seconds. For a basic spot remover, just mix a tablespoon of white vinegar with 2 tablespoons of baking soda. Need a broad carpet spray for a larger area? Mix half a gallon of vinegar with half a gallon of warm water. And for those really tough stains and odors, try mixing a 1/4 cup of non-toxic dish soap, 16 spoons of 3% hydrogen peroxide, and 3 cups of hot water. The best part? You probably already have these completely safe ingredients sitting right there in your kitchen.
Well, we have certainly covered a lot of ground today, from uncovering the marketing myths of those miraculous stain protectors to the pretty alarming reality of PFAS and toxic cleaners, and finally to some genuinely empowering safe alternatives. But before we go, I want to leave you with one provocative question to chew on as you walk around your house today. If they've been hiding in our simple carpet sprays for decades, what else in your home is hiding a forever chemical? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay curious out there, and I will see you in the next one.